Hey, good evening, guys. Hope you're doing well. Wanted to take a few minutes and just run through some of the information on the management manifesto as going into this week. A little bit lighter load this week, so wanted to encourage you to take some time and perhaps start working on that as it's not due for a couple of weeks, but will be coming soon, and would encourage you not to leave that right till the final week before the exam so it doesn't weigh heavy on you. So this would be a good opportunity to be able to do that. What I'd like to do is just to run down through basically location of where you can find things that are going to help you do this. If you go to the week of just prior to the exam, you can see where this assignment is due. Oh, let me get down there. Here we go. So April 26th through May 2 is the week that this will be due. Friday, May 1 is this assignment due date. And you can see right here, here's the presentation link and the manifesto paper link. And if you click on the manifesto paper, you can see right here is a download, and I've already done it, so I'm not going to click on it again, but is kind of the sheet that walks through the entire assignment, and we'll take a few minutes to go through that. Also, what I'd like to encourage you to go into is the resource folder, which is right here. And under Resources for Success, the rubrics for both the paper right here and for the presentation is right here. And I would highly encourage, and we're going to look at those here in a second, but highly encourage you to take a few minutes to look through those before you get going too hot and heavy on the paper and presentation. So with that, I'm going to jump to those here real quick. Here's the rubric for the paper, and that is a 100-point assignment. And you can see each of the categories, and then over here to the right are the point values for each of those. So introduction, your abstract and title page is worth 10 points. Organization and sequencing right here, and you can kind of see the different categories and ultimately, again, the points over on the right. Content of the paper, support that you give within the paper itself, your conclusion, grammar and mechanics, and then your references and citations, making sure that they're there and correctly put within the paper. And again, that would be APA 6 is the version that we're going to be using, that we continue to use this semester. The second one, that was the paper. I'm going to quickly just show you the presentation rubric. A little bit simpler, but that's a 50-point assignment. And you can see here, PowerPoint, Keynote, Google Slide, 5 slides or better, and pretty straightforward on the criteria. But again, take the time to look through the rubrics before you dive into doing the paper itself. So the assignment I showed you, here's the page. It's actually a 2-page document. One is about the paper, and the other one is the presentation. And ultimately, your paper is going to dive into 5 main points here. Faith integration, which would be comparable to the faith and works that we've done, spent a significant amount of time on this semester. Your management style that fits your personality, or are you going to do a situation by situation and try to adapt your management style? Which would you land on for that? A personal SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Or you can talk through your 5 strength finders that I think everybody has done as well. 4th point is going to be organizational culture. If you remember the onion model, talking about behaviors, values, and assumptions that you would like to create within your organization, within your team. And then ultimately, the last piece is leading. How are you going to approach developing and motivating your employees as a manager and leader? The length of the body of the paper should be 5 pages, double spaced. Here's basic insight on formatting, and then writing and editing, and I'm going to talk about APA resources here in a second. And then the key elements in your paper will be an intro, a thesis, talk through the body of your paper, again, APA 6, you can see that there, conclusion, and then your references. And I'll show you an example of that here in a few minutes as well. Second aspect of this project is the presentation, and ultimately that's going to be a 5 to 10 minute presentation. You're going to record yourself presenting with PowerPoint, Google Slide, Keynote, but that's going to be a Loom or Zoom video recording of you going through your PowerPoint. And again, you need to hit on the 5 main points. So essentially your presentation is just a recap of the main points that you wrote about in your paper in a video format. And again, 5 to 10 minutes. I would say 5 to 7 would be sufficient. Do not go over 10, all right? So 5 to 7, I actually think if I retype this, I would put 5 to 7 in there because I think that should be sufficient. All right, and then just lastly, I'm going to show you two things. One, Purdue OWL. I would highly recommend taking a look at a sample paper. I've done that. It's here online. It gets a little messy, so I downloaded it, and I'm going to just show you that here real quick. You can see here's the example paper. I'm going to go to the top page, title page. I'm just going to hit a couple of key points here. Title of the paper is right there. Your name is second, and then university, so Cornerstone University will be third. There's only 3 things that go in that main portion of the title page. Up here will be your running head. The only place that you see the actual words running head will be on your title page. And then the title of your paper, and then page number. And then this author note piece, I put a circle through it. Not necessary, we don't do that, okay? Here's the abstract. The other piece of this Purdue OWL that I really like is these boxes over here are going to give you a little recap of like, so what's an abstract? That's a brief summary of the paper, blah, 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 and so forth. And you can see the information about an abstract is over here, all right? And then you're jumping into the first page of the body of your paper. Again, title, page number, and you put the entire title. This is a shortened version, the entire title one more time, and then you dive into the paper, double-spaced, indented for each paragraph, and so forth. Headings, just kind of as a side note, are centered and bolded. And if you get, and I'm going to go down the line here a little bit, if you get to a spot where you're going to second level or third level headings, there we go. So here's the main heading, discussion, and then they're putting level 2 heading underneath discussion. That would go to the left margin, justified. And then if you get to a third level, I don't think you guys really will ever use either of these, but just in case, if you got to a third level, you go to the left margin and indent that 1/2 of an inch, okay? And then the last piece I'm going to talk through, this is what the reference page looks like. Again, title, no running head, the words running head, page number over here, just the word references, double space, and then you get into your references. And you can see left justified for the first line, and then in 1/2 of an inch for each successive line in each resource, all right? And this had 4 resources, I believe, and I'm going from memory now, but going back, I think I asked for 5 in the paper. It might be 4, but 4 or 5, make sure you pay attention to that. And then the last thing that I'm going to show you is Night Sight. And there's other ways. Jessica from the library talked to us about Zotero. It's a great tool. This is a real simple one where it's going to help you format your references for your reference page. And you can see the different types of references over here. You click on that, make sure you're in APA. You put in the information that you have from your source, and then you hit submit. And when you do that, you can copy and paste and then move it into your paper, and it will be correctly formatted. The only piece that you'll generally have to do is double space it and probably change the font to the font that you're using in your paper, which should be Times New Roman as a rule. I don't mind Calibri or Calibri, however you say that. That's probably my font of choice, but technically APA suggests that you use Times New Roman. All right, I think that's about it. As you go through the week, or if you have questions that I've not answered, feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to help however I can. Take care. God bless.